Greetings, kindred spirits. Wow, here we are in December. And what a month December is going to be. You know, we've got the full moon with a 333 portal. We've also got Saturn and Pluto coming within 2 degrees on the full moon. And then we have the winter solstice, which is another 333 portal, and where Saturn and Pluto come within a 1 degree conjunction. Wow, I mean, let's just get into that right now. So I could start with the full moon. And the full moon will reach its peak in Taurus in the true lifetime sky on the 12th of December at 5:12 in the GMT time zone, at 00:12 in the EDT time zone, and at 16:12 in the AEDT time zone. Now, with the moon in Taurus and the sun in Ophiuchus, who is also in conjunction to the goddess Pallas, things couldn't be any clearer this full moon. You know, we are definitely being pushed out of our comfort zones with the energies coming in. And it could be that certain situations that have had their time will try to continue in the same way, which would actually be very much the wrong move, as the collective energy has been reaching breaking point for quite some time now. So let's just hope the result of this full moon and 333 portal is not just a quick fix to sedate the mass frustration, and that the result of this significant day will be a long-lasting effort to bring justice and fairness to a world that is in desperate need of it. So the moon in Taurus will be in sextile to Uranus and the goddess Ceres, and in trine to the goddess Juno, which is favourable towards the feminine energy, whilst our sun in Ophiuchus will be in conjunction to the goddess Pallas and in sextile to the goddess Juno, bringing the masculine energy into alignment with his soul purpose and fully in support of the feminine energy. As a matter of fact, so far, these energies portray a healthy attitude towards the care industries. So apart from these harmonious aspects, we do have a quincunx aspect with our moon, who will be in quincunx to Venus, and Venus will be sandwiched in between the Saturn-Pluto conjunction, which can create a problem with speaking up about what we really want or what we really desire. Or even more to the point, you know, it may involve some kind of sacrifice either way. So it's like an either or either situation where there could be a compromise between our emotional security or our material security. So many may be in that place of uncertainty. I would recommend that we tap into our sense of justice and fairness for the collective and the future of our children, rather than what would serve us, instantly on a personal level. It's been a long time since we have truly been able to express our creativities comfortably without trying to fit it in between long working hours and the pressure of money worries, keeping many of us oppressed and out of touch with our true divinity. We also have a grand cross and a grand kite on the full moon, which is double-sided. Again, showing that traditional values will clash with new ideas. And I mean the grand kite is double-sided, by the way. So the divine feminine energy has gained a lot of strength and credibility throughout this year, actually the last 2 years really, and continues to open our eyes to just how important it is for us to consider the whole rather than just our own individual needs. We must break free of our inhibitions and past grievances and come together in unity on a collective and global level. Although this particular grand cross doesn't necessarily show that peace and harmony can be created with those who refuse to acknowledge the need for change. especially when it comes to women's rights or the rights of the vulnerable. However, the Chi aspect does show that things could change on the spur of the moment when it comes to public opinion or our intuition and perceptions. Because our intuition and perception will be very strong and clear this full moon, but we must beware of acting or speaking rashly out of our own frustrations or pent-up creative energy that has become very stagnant and desensitized. This kite actually gives us a great opportunity to tap into our creative, sacred and independent natures, to raise our vibration towards the highly spiritual. Sexual energy and passions will also be running high, but we must not rush into things without first knowing what we are getting ourselves into, or fool ourselves into thinking that something is more than what it really is, especially when it comes to intimate relationships. But for those that have developed their high spiritual awareness, then sacred unions and soul tribes are ready to come into alignment with their destinies, and this will continue over the next 2 years, when Neptune enters into his own sign of Pisces in February 2022. And as I said before, that's a 2222 numerological number. We are definitely moving towards some exciting but also some very challenging times. But we must continue to work on keeping our higher mind and our high spiritual awareness in balance as the veil continues to disintegrate and reveal the truth. This is a fantastic time for scientists and artists of all kinds, where many breakthroughs, expansion and success can be had, especially those of a metaphysical nature. So there may be a lot of information to process at the time of the full moon. So Saturn and Pluto will come within a 2-degree conjunction at 2300 hours in the GMT time zone on the 12th December, which is, again, as I said, the 333 portal and a full moon. And this will occur 18 hours after the full moon reaches its peak. Saturn will move forward 1 degree, which brings both Saturn and Pluto within a 2-degree conjunction, with Venus conjunct them both right bang in the middle. The last time Saturn and Pluto came within a 2-degree conjunction was back in April on the 11th. And this was very significant because the last time that these two paired in such a close proximity, we had 2 major disasters occur, with the burning down of the 2 renowned religious buildings. Although the South Node was conjunct them both bang in the middle at that particular time. So the South Node in astrology represents what we are comfortable with and are reluctant to move on from, whereas the North Node, who was in opposition, shows what we need to move forward to, taking the knowledge of the South Node with us. And the North Node was in the sign of Gemini in the true lifetime sky, which basically means that the universe was pushing us to let go of stagnant traditional values and move forward to a more scientific and inventive way of thinking. Do we really need to visit a building to connect to the divine? This time round, we have Venus in the middle, who represents our desires, our need to feel loved for who we are. And in Sagittarius, she does emphasize spiritual, ethical, and philosophical values or points of view. The aspects to Saturn, Venus and Pluto are mostly harmonious in nature, which is not necessarily a good thing, since trines especially can cause us to take things too much for granted. All 3 are in trine to the goddess Vesta of the sacred fire and in sextile to Neptune. So there will be some great opportunities again for sacred unions to take place. It's also fantastic for musicians and justice in general. The shadow, though, can speak a slightly different story when it comes to fooling ourselves or following the crowd rather than following our own hearts and minds. It really will depend on our level of consciousness as individuals, but it will also be a warning for those who are not in true alignment with their soul, since karma is still the key theme here. Some spiritual lessons will have to be learned under these aspects, especially since all three are in square to the goddess Juno of relationships and commitments. So with these particular aspects, there can be a lack of boundary or a respect for them. Boundaries, I should have said, sorry. Or there can be difficulty in accepting self-responsibility. So I feel that whilst many will benefit from these aspects, there will be those who will actually get a shake-up when it comes to a reality check. This whole year has been about us stepping into our own self-power and sovereignty for the highest and best of all. And I think we will clearly see who is true to form, as clarity will be on top of the list when it comes to the truth of our situations. So moving on to the winter solstice, the 23rd of December in the Northern Hemisphere, it will be the summer solstice in the Southern Hemisphere. Saturn and Pluto will come within a 1 degree conjunction on the solstice at 22:30 hours, and this day is also another 333 portal. So the sun would have left Ophiuchus by the 19th of December and will actually be at 3 degrees in Sagittarius on the day of the solstice. And I said in my last podcast at the new moon that the 333 was very prominent at the time. But I didn't remember that we had these 333 portals coming up. But wow, 3 or 333 is again very relevant throughout December, as we again have 3 major astronomical numerological events on this day, as we did at the full moon. So Jupiter will be at 5 degrees in Sagittarius, but is now transiting the heart of the galactic centre. On the new moon, he was kind of at the gate, but is now at the heart of the galactic centre, or coming into the heart of the galactic centre. And Jupiter will be conjunct the Sun. So self-expansion and self-expression will be very dominant on this day. Venus would have moved forward to 2 degrees in Capricorn, while Saturn will move closer to Pluto, coming into a 1 degree conjunction. This is another high energy day where the spiritual versus the material. Choices will have to be made that will be detrimental to our well-being, spiritually and emotionally. We must be aware of choosing situations out of material desires or to gain a higher status in life. Mercury will be in Ophiuchus in conjunction to the goddess Pallas of truth and justice, and both will be at 11 degrees, which is a master number. So in its highest form, this conjunction can manifest an abundance of spiritual insight and wisdom, but in its shadow, it can be manipulative and dominating. But as both will be in conjunction, there is a good possibility that some big reveals are on the horizon, as those who are in search of truth will uncover a whole heap of injustices, or where further serious allegations come to light from those who have been holding it down, either through fear of exposure or persecution. This is it now. Things are finally moving forward in a more noticeable way rather than subtly, as it has over the last few years. It's time. Peace and much love.